IGP stands at a very interesting piece in our whole, culture. The very important thing about studying abroad is going and seeing other places, being able to absorb their culture, and being able to see the world in a more broader understanding, this very niche part of the culture, where I studied management. Chinese management is very different from American management, which is very different from Spanish management or whatever. But being able to have that interdisciplinary part of it really allowed us to kind of dissect, for at least ourselves, how does our culture or this culture affect what we do? In a much broader sense, I really feel like that's what IGP's vision is. It's really helping you dissect not just the culture, but your specific role in it.
I heard about the CIE's partnerships in Patagonia with an internship program during my first year of college, and that's what really inspired me. I mean, that's what I always wanted to do with forestry, was international work. And so when I heard about this, I decided to get part of the IGP program. But once I did start, it was awesome. It was really cool to be meeting local students and trying to learn about things that I was learning, like forestry and climate change, that I was learning about here, and then learning a different perspective, how they're thinking about things down there, how things are affecting them differently down there, how some of the problems that affect both of us, like fires. The year I was there were some really extreme fires across the whole country because a lot of it is non-native forest. And so it was kind of a parallel to California, and it was really amazing to see that worlds apart. I would say the most surprising thing for me, not necessarily that I learned, but of my experience, was that I lived with people from Europe, and a lot of the people I met were foreign students. And so I met people from all over the world, not just from Chile, but all people from all over the world, Spain, all over Europe. That was really interesting. And so in addition to meeting Chileans, it was a really global experience in that way.
The classes themselves were pretty challenging, especially because Chilean Spanish is really different from the Spanish that you learn in a classroom. So in the classroom, they speak really slow. There's a lot of pronunciation and really, focusing on making sure that someone who isn't a native speaker can understand. Sitting in a class where, it's just going and going and going, it was really challenging to catch on at first, especially in topics that I wasn't very familiar with. It took a bit of time, but I think after being immersed in the culture and being immersed in the language almost 24/7 really helped. And by the end, I was really catching on, and things kind of progressed from there. But you work with people who aren't just engineers, but people who are scientists, who are psychologists, who study social sciences, and you're all in this room together thinking of ways to work with one another. And it's truly, truly an interdisciplinary experience when you study abroad with IGP. In that type of world, you can come up with some really cool, creative, innovative solutions that you wouldn't necessarily have if you're just kind of isolated to the people who think similarly to you. So I think building that, interdisciplinary way of thinking to be able to solve really complex and big problems that we're facing today. I think that's kind of the big goals of IGP and the vision.
Compared to study abroad, IGP, you immerse yourself in a different culture for a year, and you learn about all these different types of lifestyles. I believe as an indigenous person, we do have this close connections to culture. And I feel IGP having that, my background in comparative cultural studies gave me that dose of culture, and also brought me back to my own culture. And then I was trying to figure out how engineering plays a role in culture. So with that said, I feel my two worlds that I feel I was colliding all my life of trying to live in this modern world brought those two together.
I would definitely recommend this program. I mean, from the moment I started, I was really impressed with the rigor of the program, the opportunities it would give you, and I really liked how it was a challenge, but if you made it through, you were going to get this incredible opportunity to go study around the world for a year, and it's totally worth it, and it's changed my life.
And you can come back and say, I lived in a place other than here. And I really got to absorb the culture, and I really got to understand what it meant to be someone who lives in Spain, someone who lives in France, someone who lives in Germany, someone who lives in Japan or China, Korea, and any other place that they have on their listings. But that's a really real personal experience that you can take on for the rest of your life. And 6 months is great, but a whole year, you can really see the broad range of things.